And we are back here to the Social Justice Forum's Duffy and Duffy law firm has announced the first of a series of lawsuits being filed against New York nursing homes on behalf of the families of residents who have died as a result of the coronavirus. Although nursing homes were granted immunity during the coronavirus pandemic, the firm contends the facilities are responsible for the injuries that have been caused due to the reckless misconduct and willful gross negligence of the nursing home administration and staff in failing to comply with public health regulations. The allegations are serious. Joining us now to talk more about this and to give us further insight are attorneys with Duffy and Duffy Law. We've got Damien Smith and also Thomas Gallivan. And gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, listen, let's get right at it. When we talk about nursing homes, obviously a big push to be discussed during a time such as this. When we talk about COVID-19, navigating after COVID-19, one of the greatest things that came out of it was the risk of infection and those deaths that occurred in nursing homes. And by your allegation, what you're saying is nursing homes, a lot of them were unprepared. Is that correct, Damien?
Yes, that's correct, Daren. We're saying that these nursing homes knew this was coming. They had infection protocols that were supposed to be in place based upon prior outbreaks and directives that were sent down by the CDC, Medicaid, Medicare guidelines that told these nursing homes to get their infection protocols up to speed and be ready for such a pandemic. And these nursing homes did not do what they were supposed to be doing. We found that certain nursing homes, when this pandemic was coming to fruition, just sat there, waited, didn't do anything to update their protocols, make sure that they were prepared for this. This was a slow developing system that came to our country from China, then through Europe, and the writing was on the wall that this was coming towards us. And then when we had the first outbreak in Washington, it was pretty apparent that the nursing homes were going to be at risk, and these people that are the most vulnerable were going to be at risk. So that these nursing homes really had to be prepared for this. They had to have all their supplies in place beforehand. They had to have their staffing needs and prepare for the staff to be ready for all that was going to be coming, isolating their residents, cleaning the facilities, making sure that they had enough staff to come in if staff ended up getting sick and not come.
And Thomas, a little bit more here, because when we talk about immunity, the governor had given immunity. There was legal immunity for nursing homes in this particular matter, but even with the immunity, there's still some negligence that you find. So walk us through, how can a nursing home be liable even though there's this immunity thing going on?
Sure. So in this scenario, what immunity means, with limited exception, is that the healthcare industry, basically, so nurses, doctors, nursing homes, and hospitals, are shielded from civil and criminal liability for their misconduct. So in short, the immunity provision, from our perspective, strips individuals and their families of the rights that they're provided under the Constitution, including their right to a jury trial. And unfortunately, the timing of the immunity came to fruition, it seems that the law was passed shortly after lobbyists for the healthcare institution made large donations. More specifically to your question, the way in which these cases can be pursued is if we're able to provide evidence of gross negligence or reckless misconduct on the part of the nursing homes. And really that goes back to a lot of what Damien was just speaking about in terms of the months and even years before the nursing homes. They didn't necessarily have to be on notice of COVID or coronavirus coming, but they needed to be prepared for any type of respiratory virus that could amount to what this amounted to, which is a pandemic.
So walk us through a little bit about what you found, right? And some of the cases, and talk about this negligence that you're alleging in certain cases, if you can, so that way people can get a better perspective as to what you were actually able to uncover during this.
Well, our clients are telling us that these facilities were not prepared. They were not doing anything before the governor shut down the nursing homes to visitations. So they were telling us that they were allowed to freely walk into the nursing homes. There were no protocols to have people wearing masks. There were no protocols for hand sanitizing of visitors and people walking in and out of the nursing homes. And then once people started to get sick in the nursing homes, there still was no staff wearing masks. They were very short staffed in the nursing homes, and they just weren't ready for this at all. And to contrast that, there are several nursing homes that did the right thing, and they were ready for this, and they were on the forefront of this, and they took extra precautions to make sure that their residents were safe. It's just that some of these nursing homes, the ones that are in our lawsuits, just didn't do what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And so the question, I guess, is really on what grounds then really can you really get this lawsuit out there? And of course, you feel as though you have reasonable grounds. What are the grounds right now that you have that you're going forward with the lawsuit?
Well, there's the lack of preparedness, specifically having infection protocols in place before any type of pandemic was coming to this nursing home. That they had to have an emergency plan in place. They had to have a plan for isolating patients, a plan for subsidizing staff if there was an outbreak within the staff. They had to have a plan to transfer patients and isolate patients within the nursing home, and that's the key to the success rate of the facilities that were able to control this particular pandemic, and the ones that were not able to do it. And then once the pandemic really started to affect the nursing homes, it was almost too late for them to change the course of what was going to happen. As this saying goes, the horse was already out of the barn. There was nothing really they could do. The staff started to not call in sick to work, and they were they didn't have enough PPE, things that should have been in supply way before any type of pandemic came to the nursing home.
Yeah. I know one of the other issues that you're dealing with and trying to address in your lawsuit deals with the notification of those who lost loved ones in that nursing home due to COVID-19. I know firsthand that notification is a sensitive matter, but then I know in the case of some nursing homes, that sensitivity just wasn't there. I know that there's something that you guys are very front and center on. Share with us a little bit about that and what troubles you there.
Sure. I can talk a little bit about that. The communication is always important for nursing homes to be in contact with the family members and or the resident themselves if they're competent. But here, in this scenario where families weren't allowed to visit, it became all that more important. And again, I think that there are instances that we've seen where some nursing homes were great at it. They kept in contact. They sent out memos to family members to tell them exactly what they were doing to try and either keep the virus from getting into the facility in the first place, or then if it did get into the facility, trying to contain it. And then on the flip side, which are the defendants in a lot of the cases that we're pursuing, they did exactly the opposite. They were not in communication with family members. I spoke with someone this morning that their father had a fever for 6 days, and this is in June. They were never told about it until he was sent to the hospital and died the same day. that was a clear indication that person was or potentially was COVID positive. That type of lack of communication is unacceptable. A lot of what we've been talking about and all of these preventative measures that are new to us, like wearing masks outside or staying 6 feet apart, those are things that the nursing home owners and administrators should have had on their radar way before they came into our regular vernacular and our regular way of living. They have the most vulnerable population with them on a day-to-day basis. They're supposed to have infection control protocols in place way before we'd even heard of the coronavirus. And the fact that they failed these families is tragic. Damien mentioned it earlier. A lot of the death totals in the facilities are heartbreaking, but you can also see that there were plenty of facilities that did the right thing and have 0 or 1 death. There can only be a couple of reasons for that, and preparedness is the big one for us.
Yeah. I failed to mention, would you please share with our viewers those nursing homes that you have filed lawsuits against?
The ones that are filed at this point are against Isabella Geriatric and Parker Jewish. Those were facilities, like we said, that had high death totals and had some of the problems that we've been talking about for the last 10 or so minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So where do you see things going from here? I mean, obviously, you want to see reform and obviously justice for families. Talk to us about how you see things playing out in the future. What's going to happen?
Well, one thing is that there is a bill in Albany right now to revoke the immunity privilege that was granted by the legislature. So we're hopeful that will pass. But if it doesn't pass, we're just hopeful that some of the public outcry is for justice nowadays in all aspects of our society, and that people are going to be frustrated about what happened to their loved ones or what they saw happen to friends and family of people that were in these nursing homes and weren't able to get closure, weren't able to get communication, and weren't able to get care, and were essentially shut off and lost those precious last moments that you have with your loved one.
And are you a little bit concerned, given the fact that we're talking about possibly a second wave here coming to New York City? I mean, granted, we're not even out of the first wave, and much of New York State is still trying to navigate that first wave. But talk to us about the potential for a second wave. Is there anything that you would want to tell families or potential people that may have to deal with this issue front and center with a possible second wave coming around the corner?
Well, I would always tell the family members to be proactive in the care of your loved one. You have to be vocal. You have to know what's going on. In one of our cases that we're investigating, their father was only in the nursing home for short-term rehab, and they never got a chance to take him out. They could have easily taken him out of the nursing home and had the rehab at home. He was not an older man. He just had a surgery and was requiring some short-term rehab, and the facility never gave them notice. They basically locked the doors, and they had no chance to take him out of there. And then he ended up getting COVID and passing away without them being able to say goodbye to him.
Right. So with the immunity law, the way that it is right now, we know that the immunity laws are there. There is a push to actually take this immunity away. Is that something as a legal counsel that you would like to see the immunity actually taken away, or do you think that it's a good measure that's actually in place?
I don't think that the immunity privilege should be in there at all. I don't know why they would give immunity to people who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Let the judge and the jury system decide if the facilities acted appropriately and did all they could do in light of what was going on. That would be fine. That's the way our justice system is set up, to just give blanket immunity for no reason other than just to protect these facilities doesn't make any sense to us.
Right. And about how many families are you guys dealing with presently as of now?
We have close to 100 cases that we're investigating.
Mm.
There's a limited amount that we've gone ahead and filed the lawsuits, but we get calls every day. As sad as that is, it's still going on.
Are they from the same nursing homes that you're getting the phone calls from, or are they different ones?
It varies.
Mhm.
Some of the obviously the nursing homes with the higher death totals are a significant portion of the calls that we're getting because of it seems clear that there were failures at those facilities.
Mm. I see.
And I think a lot of families just want answers, so they're just calling to know what they can do, because they were in the dark the whole time and had no idea what really happened to them and if they have any remedy at all.
Yeah, yeah. So if families do need to get in touch with you, please put your information out there. How do they get in touch with you if they feel like they've been wrong?
Well, they can always call us at Duffy and Duffy Law at 516-394-4200, and we have people waiting by to take any phone calls at all times.
Yeah. Well, Damien and Thomas, thank you so much for sharing with us. Of course, we want to continue to follow this story as it affects not just those in New York City and the Bronx, but of course, all across New York State, as nursing homes are certainly under fire. As you said, many have done a great job, but there's some that definitely have to be brought to accountability. And I think that that's what you got going. So we'll continue to follow up and check in with you as things progress. Damien and Thomas, thank you so much for being with us here on the Social Justice Forums.
Thank you, Daren.
Thank you, Daren. Have a good day.
All right. Well, listen, we got to take a quick break. We do have more show. Stay with us. We're coming right back right after this.